Hey guys, it's Batran here. So I'm going to be doing a video on my Cymbidiums. Most of it will be pretty much just show and tell, and then I'll go into a little bit about the care that I give to them. So this is my first Cymbidium here. This is the light pink one, and I really like this one because of the spots that it has over here. I'm really digging the spots on the lip, and it used to be a lot darker in terms of the buds, but when they open up they tend to have a lighter color than what their bud shows. And this one I just got as a hybrid, and it's a no ID. And this one is also a no ID, but it is closer to its species parent, and you can tell because of the sepals and petals. They are a thinner and skinnier version, and the flowers are small, the bulbs are small, the leaves are skinnier as well, and it also has a fragrance. Unfortunately, it is a no ID, so I cannot tell you what the name is. Over here I have a white Cymbidium, and this one is absolutely gorgeous. It is the opposite of the one over there. This one, the flowers are huge, and the sepals and petals here are so round. They're not pointy at all. They're almost an oval shape. This one has less spots on its lip. And I apologize for the water. I just miss my orchids a little bit in order for them to stay moist, because it gets so hot here in the greenhouse, even though it's cold outside. So this next one used to be a chocolate budded or the buds used to be chocolate color, and for some reason when the Cymbidium flowers open up, they lose their color. They're not as dark as they used to be, so I didn't get a chocolate colored orchid. I got more of a mustard brownish caramel color, and this is what it looks like. It has a red or maroon lip here. It's actually really cool, and I do like it. There is no fragrance on that one, however. So I'm gonna pan over here. I apologize for all the dirty floor. So this one is something that my mom's friend gave to me, and I actually divided it into 3 plants. Yeah, it initially had 17 pseudobulbs, and I divided them into 3 plants. I gave 2 of them away for my coworkers, and they really loved it, but I kept 1 for myself, and I'm not sure if I'm going to repot it this year. Probably not. Maybe next year, because it just doesn't look like it needs any repotting. Let's move on to this one. This one is my mom's Cymbidium. It looks really sad because it is really sad. So she's had it for about 10 years now, and she's never taken care of it. She's left it outside in the summer heat, which can go up to about 110 or 115 degrees, and it gets down to about 20 something degrees at night, sometimes in the winter. So it's pretty much lived outside its whole life until a few months ago when I brought it inside the greenhouse. But otherwise, it's pretty much lived outside. It was an outside orchid, and it wasn't doing that well. You can see that the pseudobulbs are not looking very good. This one is one of the older ones, and you can see that it's a lot bigger than these other ones. And after I got it for a whole year, it didn't do anything. And finally, it's putting out a new growth, and that's that one over there. The growth is kind of sad looking too, but I have really high hope for it because it finally put out new growth. So, I mean, for a whole year, it didn't do anything. And the plant was actually a lot bigger. I got rid of a bunch of pseudobulbs because they were so completely decayed that when you touch them, they were like paper. I mean, there was just nothing there, nothing left. So let's move on to this one. I'm going to talk really quickly about this one over here. It's hidden back there. This was my mom's friend's plant, and I got it as a division, and it was potted in regular potting soil, and it looked really crappy, and it still does. And it had like a ton of snails and slugs in there, which I had, like, it was yuck. It was gross. I had to get rid of all of it and repotted it. And it did put out a flower spike, which I unfortunately killed with rot, so that was entirely my fault. I think it's a brown color, but I can't be too sure. Okay, so next up we have this pink one, and this was a gift from my coworker's mom, and when she gave it to me, it wasn't in bloom, but finally it is in bloom. It's really gorgeous. It has 3 flower spikes, which I'll show you later on, but this one is a more pink version, and it has a red lip. Whoops, where's my finger? Oh, there it is. It has a dark red lip, and it has very tiny spots, very tiny dots over here in the sepals and petals. They're really gorgeous, and I finally pulled out an old flower that stopped blooming over here, but otherwise it's looking really good. And this is the other flower spike for it. It's so awesome. I think I have about more than 17 flowers. So this one is the other flower spike. It just started opening up, and I have another one over here. And that one I didn't stake up at all, so it's just lying sideways like that. And last but not least, I have my green Cymbidium, which honestly for this one I cannot take any credit for reblooming it because I just purchased it. So yeah, anyway, so I got it because it was green and it's gorgeous, and I really like the green color Cymbidiums for some reason. I usually am not a big fan of green flowered orchids or green flowers, but for the green Cymbidiums, I really dig them. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm weird like that. So yeah, so this one has 2 flower spikes, and one of them is here, and it's still in bud. This one already is starting to bloom. These are the buds that are about to open on the first flower spike. So, sorry, I have to like switch hands all the time when I'm holding my camera or my phone. But let's talk a little bit about how I care for them. They're really hardy orchids, which is the reason why I love them so much. And I'm starting to get more into Cymbidiums because they're so easy to take care of. They are very hardy, so you can actually grow them in the ground. You can put a lot of mulch on top if it gets down to be about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and that will keep them pretty warm in the winter. Although I wouldn't recommend that you put them outside if they are that cold, just because you can see that my mom's orchid, that sad one, was outside and it's not doing that great. So it's not recommended, but it is possible for them to live in that cold weather. They can, however, happily live down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and they can withstand about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So they are extremely hardy orchids. They don't require that much care. They grow like crazy. So I had quite a few growths on my Cymbidiums throughout the year. They also like a lot of light, and that's actually more than Cattleya light. They can take direct sunlight. If they're used to it, they will take it with no problem. And that's what I do with my Cymbidiums. I leave them outside in direct sunlight, and it helps them to get all that nutrients that they need for them to bloom in the winter. And during the winter, they actually do need a cold winter in order to bloom. So they do need that drop in temperature. If you don't have that drop in temperature, it is more difficult for them to bloom. And the drop in temperature usually happens at night. I think about 10 degrees to 20 degrees difference would be appropriate between the daytime and nighttime temperatures. I, however, have more than that. I have about 40 degrees difference, which they do find they all spike the ones that are healthy enough. So that is totally okay too. And I do have to deal with that dramatic drop in temperature with a lot of my orchids. So unfortunately, some of them don't do well, but the Cymbidiums do really wonderfully. In the summer, I water them every single day, and I just take a hose and I hose the bottom right here like so every day. So they do need to have a lot of water, because in the winter, in the summer for me, it gets really, really hot and they dry out within a few hours. So it's all good for me to water every single day. However, if your environment is different, I would kind of do a trial run and see where it takes you. If it's really hot, you can water them every day, but if it's not that hot, then don't. It really is dependent on your environment. In terms of fertilizer, I fertilize them once a week, and with a very weak fertilizer, and sometimes I fertilize twice a week, or if I'm really lazy, once every 2 weeks. But I try to go for once a week, and I do that probably during the weekends because that's when I have more time. And if you skip a week or so, it's not a big deal. Or if you fertilize with a very weak fertilizer, then it's okay if you do it more often than most people, but try to make sure that it's a very weak fertilizer because you don't want to burn the roots too much. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, these guys are so hardy that there's not a lot that you really need in order to rebloom them. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time.